Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Welcome to another episode of Inside the Firm. I'm here with Lance, the best interviewer ever. If you haven't listened to Rhett Fiscus on Monday morning podcast episode, go back, check that out. It's probably about a month and a half ago, something like that. So it would have been November 2022.
Yep.
I am just Alex. I'm just here, Gore.
Wow.
Just here,
hanging out.
Here to tell you about one thing. It's architectsguide2.com. That's architectsguide2.com, showing you how to transition and not only move, just expand your base from architect to architect as builder. Building residential projects, how it's done, how you can spend your money coming in through the ups and downs that is this economy. Go check it out, architectsguide2.com.
I need you to check out archcat.com too. As more businesses and tenants demand green design in their buildings, LEED certification is more important than ever. And while ArchCat is known for being red, they can help you go green. ArchCat provides thousands of LEED reports from building product manufacturers on how their products can help you make the green choice that's right for your project. Head over to archcat.com and find the information you need for LEED. Check them out. I check them out almost weekly now because we download a ton of content from them. Most recently, some beautiful garage doors that made my client's dream house even dreamier. Last and certainly not least, Pella Luxury, a world-class collection of brands brought together to provide window and door solutions to the building industry and beyond. Duratherm and Riley are the true pioneers of industry. They are doing what no one else has done, building and designing beyond the status quo. These brands do not push beyond limits. They set them. Explore PellaLuxury.com/the-firm. That's PellaLuxury.com/the-firm today. Show them that we're bringing some traffic to that website. Check them out. Keep them on your radar for all of your custom residential and commercial projects next year. They will make the impossible happen. Trust me.
Awesome. All right, Lance, what is dialectic thinking?
You know what? It's something that can completely help you out. I think society is lacking in dialectical thinking, and here's how we think it can help you. Because if you are a service-based company like us, right? We do construction, we do architecture, we do this podcast, and putting yourself in other people's positions, it makes you more empathetic and then helps you provide better service. So I've got an article here pulled up today. It's from Mental Health Today, and it starts off with saying, how can we begin to understand the world beyond our internal perspective? Claire Nara, a clinical psychotherapist, writes that dialectical thinking can help us open up our thought processes to an increased awareness of a multifaceted reality beyond the typical black and white, good and bad binary world that is often presented to us. There are many ways our thought patterns can get us in trouble. We can become wrapped up in feeling of abandonment, and we ruminate on the idea that we are not wanted. We can become fearful about losing our job, and every interaction with our boss seems to signal a possible termination. When situations like this happen, it's common to focus solely on one outcome, and more often than not, it is the one thing we don't want to happen. Much of the reason we do this is because we are oriented towards survival. So we try to avoid the things that can hurt us. This means seeing danger before it happens and acting to prevent it. But it also means that so often our thoughts only consider one thing: how to prevent harm. In that case, we only see things from that perspective, and every interpretation we have aids that. Yet, that is only one way to think. Dialectical thinking, also known as paradoxical thinking, is, in many ways, the opposite of the catastrophic thinking that responds to threats. Dialectical thinking is defined as seeing things from multiple perspectives. A fundamental principle of dialectical thinking is that everything is composed of opposites, and to understand things more fully, we need to understand their opposites. For example, if darkness is defined as the absence of light, we couldn't describe it unless we also defined light. Because a defining principle of dialectical thinking is that everything is composed of opposites, it holds that nothing is ever black and white, or good or all bad. Every person, place, thing, and situation has both good and bad components. As much as we may not like, they are not all bad, and as much as we may be excited about something, there will be components of it that are challenging. Understanding that there are many ways to see situations helps us move past rigid thought patterns and the resultant emotions that come with them. Dialectical thinking also helps us understand that alternative perspectives might be equally worth considering. Al, I feel like you've done this since forever. Why do you think that is?
Honestly, it might. Can't remember. I read the book that our whole firm's going to read when I was maybe like 14, maybe even younger. It is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Mm-hmm. Might have came from there. But yeah, like you said, it's just something that's been ingrained in me, or maybe it's natural. You want to know where I think is what's hard to do this besides this whole survival narrative? I think it comes from a couple different things. The first is, let's say there's a conversation. You have a history with a thought or an idea, and you don't want to let it go because of ego and because you've invested in your thought and you've shifted your perspective. I heard this in 2 podcasts happen recently. This one guy was arguing that like there's no way to know if the federal government is spending too much money and if it's going to cause negative consequences. And he had this whole idea about it, and he had this whole logic about this. And it's the other people on his podcast like literally shot him down with facts. And one of them was like, if your government, your federal government, is spending more than it takes in plus the inflation
and the interest,
yep, you are in borrowing against the future. Like it's just
fundamental, obvious fact.
Yep. So let's say you only take in $1 trillion, but inflation's 7%. If you spend $1,007,000,000, like it's just going to get eaten up from inflation. You're probably fine, you know. But anything else is you're borrowing against the future. And he just couldn't let this thing die because he just used the argument like, well, we've spent a lot and everyone says we shouldn't spend a lot. So like, we don't know what the limit is. It's like, okay, just you've invested too much in this idea. There was another thing too. So know that, let's say you're presenting a thought to me, like I might be dug in because like, oh, I read a book on this, but that book might be outdated. You know what I mean? And the other thing too, so it's not just ego. It can be emotions. Something makes you mad. Something makes me mad. My kid, whatever. Like, my kids might do something that like isn't even that bad, but like the other kid did 4 things that were bad. Now I'm taking that 4 things. The other kid only does 1 thing's bad, blowing up on
yeah.
That, you know what I mean? So like it could be it, and I use kids because it's so visceral, but like you have emotions about this firm, about work, about what you do, about design. Like, don't forget about that. Don't let that blind you. You know, even in like meetings, like you're late, they're late. You know, all of a sudden your emotions are not allowing you to like think, oh, okay, what's going on? Things like that. Does that make sense?
Makes all kinds of sense, yeah. And this is the trap I think that architects fall into, is that they get emotionally attached to their vision, and they fail to consider the opposite of their vision, and that is, what is it going to cost to implement that vision? And so when we're working with a homeowner, a developer, any kind of owner in that way, right? This, I feel like if you took a look at this, dialectical thinking and paradoxical thinking, one of the two, same thing, then it's going to help you just serve the client better, which relates all the way back to one of our principles at F9. We have 9 principles, and that is, serve the client, serve the contractor, serve the city. Yeah. And you're gonna be more empathetic, and that's at the end of the day, you're gonna do the best architecture you can do. Like that's gonna happen no matter what, even if it gets value engineered. But you're gonna be able to cope with that better. So something to think about moving into the new year. I think if everybody. One of the biggest things we need to do as a practice, this is not just F9, but everybody, is be better service providers. Because one of the things I think that died with COVID was customer service. For some reason, it just took a steep downhill turn. I don't know why. Maybe because we decided we all should be online and not pick up the phone or, have that human relationship. But like this type of thinking is so critical as a professionally and personally. I think it's worth considering.
Do you know why it's so beneficial as well? Is that if you have a point, and let's pretend that I'm just shooting it down, right? But let's just say it is a bad point, right? But like you are just like hammering me, like I want this bad point, I want this bad point, and I'm not thinking from your perspective, and I'm just arguing and fighting. If I can move myself over to your side, see why you think it, why you do, and then all of a sudden I steel man your argument, and then I can talk to you from your level, like, oh, hey Lance, you thought it because of X or because of emotion Y. X and Y don't exist. And then you might, if you don't have the too big of an ego, be like, oh, okay, now I can hear Al because he can think the same way I'm thinking. Because before you're just trying to convince me to think the way you're thinking.
Right.
And I'm not even doing that.
You're not even doing that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Well, we're recording this on December 30th, 2022, or 2023 is right around the corner. And everybody's got New Year's resolutions, and everybody does it in different ways. And I just wanted to share. Al's going to share what he's got on his list of things to do. But what I wanted to show is just give you guys a personal inside look at my vision board. I've never done a vision board before. I've just had goals that I keep in my brain. But this year I have got some financial challenges and things that I want to do to just kind of up the level of myself and my family and everything else that I think requires another level of just leveling up with the vision to happen. So if you're watching on the YouTube, I've got it pulled up here. My vision, and I encouraged Mark LePage to do something like that, and then he sent us a really cool image of something else that he's working on, which was like Al and I were just like floored when we saw it. I was like, that is the perfect way to vision.
Yeah, he's doing Photoshop and fancy.
Oh.
We got to harass him again to make sure he doesn't slack on us, though.
Yeah. One of the things that's already changed on my vision board, and I actually have to change it over, is Kyler wants to now. One of my sons wants to be now he wants to be a diesel mechanic. So instead of him graduating coding school, we're gonna try to find him an apprenticeship to do that. But what mine, and you don't have to follow exactly my lead, but I highly encourage, if you listen to this today, tomorrow, before the New Year's, in that first January month, consider doing something like this. It's either like a vision board, like I've got pulled up here, or with the book we're reading right now, with that firm-wide, we're going to read it, with a book that Alex was mentioning, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. They say do a personal mission statement, and actually that's what I'm going to work on tomorrow. Is what I liked how they framed it was, for instance, for me, so like Lance claims he's a serial entrepreneur, and it's mostly true, right? We have F9 Productions, the architecture firm. We have F14 Productions. I teach. Alex teaches. We have F12, which is the development, which has some of our real estate holdings in it. And then we have the podcast, obviously. And then I have my nonprofit. So, like, there's entrepreneurial stuff going on there, right? But to go back to for the mission statements with that, I'm going to focus in on personal mission statements for each of those entities or titles.
Sure.
That I have to further exacerbate like this idea of just burning it into my psyche and like making it a serious goal to like these goals possible. But the best part about it that I liked, and I think it was in chapter 1, is they said like, what is your foundation though? And so for me, there's a big component of faith. So one of the things I wanted to do on mine was have a blessed Catholic marriage. My wife and I did not get married in the Catholic Church. I would like that to happen. My kids would get confirmed as Catholics. And then I start moving into, like, my son, like I talked about, graduating coding school. Now he wants to do this other thing. Kaya and Marilyn, my wife, having a better personal relationship. Then I start to move in, like, the money, right? To try to have a $500,000 year. That's no joke. I think it's attainable. And then all of the other, like, personal stuff. Fishing with Lance, get up to 20,000 followers on Newsbreak, YouTube, increase. So if you're watching on YouTube, you haven't subscribed yet, please do to the Inside the Firm. Get us up to 5,000 subscribers. Bigger increased downloads for the podcast. Start getting into fix and flips. I've been talking about them for a while and holding those as rentals to increase the, my real estate holdings and investments. And then one big one for like you architects is I have a picture of one of our best houses up here, and it's Eastwatch House. We have been getting all of these inquiries because people see, we finally broke that sort of mold of, or broke through finally, like a little glass ceiling of, like, we always thought, man, if we could just get one signature house up on the website, if we could just get one project that's prominently displayed, you feel like it would attract those kind of clients again, those higher paying custom residential where you're truly getting paid to be an artist. So I want to get 12 of those next year and do it. So one a month is a big goal for me, and to command the highest fees we've ever commanded. Back to kind of personal, a special trip to Las Vegas for my wife's birthday. We did that last year. More magazine covers, an architecture award, and then back to commercial stuff, back to personal stuff. I want to shoot an elk with my friend John Kyle, catch a 100-pound paddlefish, 20-inch long cutthroat trout, 24-inch long cutbow trout, and then finally hunt a deer with my brother, who's been begging me to do it. And then last but certainly not least, expand my community garden, my nonprofit, 2 times in 2 locations. So, like, the thing they say to do also is, like, you need to look at this. You need to put this, like, wherever your special place is, and you do your most creative time of the day. So for me, that's waking up at 5, getting that pot of coffee going. This is in my personal office, and I look at it every single day. I try to memorize these numbers and try to visualize them moving ahead.
Yep. So mine, I would always do goals, and I would write them down, but I never attached images to them. An image just connects more to basically emotion and helps you visualize it more and see it more. I don't have mine up here. I had I had my board. I measured it all out, and then I put all my images perfectly so that they would fit perfect on like a grid. And then I realized I didn't leave any text and any space for text. So I was like, oh, there goes that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know what they mean to me. One of mine is save enough money to buy land, and then I have pictures of like the certain characteristics that I want that land to be. I have a couple different fitness goals. One is to run 3 miles in under 20 minutes.
Ooh, that's impressive.
Yeah, while being fit. So there's other fitness goals. So I can't just be a stick, doing it. 2 great vacations with the family. Already kind of know what those are going to be and know where they're going to be in pictures of that. 10 dates with my wife, which is up there. And then there's some other stuff relating to money and things like that. And to F9, happy, healthy, awesome firm. And then Saturday mornings always have my dad time with the kids on Saturday morning. So that's what I have. If you want to send us ours, you can. You can tag us when you post it on.
Yeah.
Get
after it. This can't be a detrimental exercise. It could only be positive for you to do it. And it might sound woo woo and kind of silly, but like my wife always does a vision board, and she did one last year, and she got every single goal, and some of them were some large dollar goals for her business with real estate. It was pretty amazing. Yep. So like I'm now a full firm believer in it. I was always doing this stuff. Like I feel like you were doing it like you would wake up on New Year's Day and do it right away in the morning or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what?
With this whiteboard.
The last couple of years, I remember what happened, and I have to kind of adjust is like I would have, let's just say 10 goals. And within the first 6 months, I would crush like 4 to 5 of them. And then I would kind of just get burnt out, and then I wouldn't know where the other ones go. So like how to stick through on them is going to be key. And maybe it is the vision board rather than just like little text on my phone or something like that. Maybe that's the difference.
That book came up with some kind of, Did you, I think it was like chapter 2 or 3, whatever chapter, I think it was chapter 2 where they talked about the personal mission. And I should have wrote it down or clipped it because you would have had a better term for when you teach your class about preaching to the kids or to the students that when you draw, there's this there's the learning process. They had a name for it finally. So this guy was talking
like kinesthetic or some fancy word like that.
Psychokinesthetics or something like that. I can't remember, but basically he was relating it to writing, and he was saying like when you write it by hand versus a computer, he it's just like there's a memory relay that happens in your brain for that. So kind of that's why, back down to the visuals again, especially if you're an architect or a designer, if you're visualizing it. I mean, you know what it's like when you get a new project and you just have that vision, or you go to the site and then you let the vision marinate after you have a program and it really happens, and then it comes out and you're like, man, that was a beautiful process. Same sort of thing. So should we see who number 2 works for?
Yes. Let's go to Nick with Nick Reads.
Hello, best friends. I hope you all had a great week this week. A reading. Without the passion of soul, however, the passion of the mind creates endless streams of empty suits. Dreams without heart. Abstractions that fill the dead vacuum of soulless idea. Academic pursuits. Dreams without feet. Idealism disconnected from life. Like communism, fascism, terrorism. Ideas born from the mind's passion. Ostensibly pursued on behalf of mankind, then ends up killing people in an effort to save them. This is what the mind's passion without soul does. It creates forms without substance, huge promises without any connection to the real people who are impacted by them. Michael E. Gerber, E-Myth Mastery. Merry Christmas. Toodles!
So, like, it reminds me, like, of these isms don't relate to reality. And then you try to force it. And you try to just take this one-line stance of, like, this is the way it needs to be.
It's the opposite of dialectical thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Well, that's it for us. We hope you like this episode. If you like this episode, please have a happy New Year. We will see you after the New Year in 2023. I'm optimistic about it. You should be optimistic about it. Get on those vision boards. Get on those personal mission statements. Make it a goal to make it one of your best years ever. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. We'll see you in 2023.